What are you doing?
I was just getting a song ready for Sunday.
Oh, is that hard work?
Yeah, there's lots of people involved in it.
Like who?
Well, we need lots of people such as Liz, Neil, me, Dan, etc.
What do they all do?
Well, why don't you ask them?
Engage.
With the online service, Joseph said lots and lots of people are involved. Why do we need so many?
Well, if you think about it, a service in the chapel always uses lots of people as well. The problem is we have to get them all together in different places, and that's a lot harder. So we have to have a minister who's done some planning and some worship leaders to sort out some songs, and some people to do readings and all sorts of other bits and pieces and prayers as well. And then we need a number of technical people to make it all work as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just like in the chapel where we have to have a video desk and a sound desk and all of those things.
So we need lots of people. I wonder if we can find out what they all do.
Why don't you ask them?
Hi Neil and Graham, I'm trying to find out how you do an online service.
Okay.
What's different about what you do compared to a normal one?
So what's different to a normal service? I think the main difference is that everything just takes that little bit longer to do. It's a case of, you need to phone people up, ask them if they'll do things, then wait for them to get back to you if they'll do it or not. And then very often at the minute we have to walk them through the technology as well so that they are more comfortable, for example, of doing a reading on Zoom as opposed to just sort of standing up in front. It's a different thing to do in the way that you operate. Another thing that would be different is we don't do a run through of the service before the Sunday morning, whereas currently every Friday night we get together online and we do a run through so that we can be sure that the links work, that people connect together, the videos, the pre-recorded bits work with the live to camera bits. So we just have to approach it differently to how we normally would.
Well, in these days we're all confined to our own homes. So we're on the phone much more together and trying to get creative too in bringing new things into our services, which is a great opportunity, isn't it?
What's harder and what's easier?
What's harder and what's easier, Benjamin? I'll tell you what's easier, and that is doing all the preparations in your pyjamas. What's harder is once I've done a talk, not in my pyjamas, it's downloading it and getting it to your dad. That's ever so difficult. In fact, one of my talks, it took me 2 days. Can you believe it?
What's harder and what's easier? I think the short answer is most things are harder because you just lack the physical immediacy of doing things with people or for people in direct face-to-face interaction. You don't get the cues, you don't get the response. That makes pretty much every part of ministry harder. Phone calls, everything. What's easier? The easier bit is the commute. I'm not driving for 20 minutes to get to church.
Are there things that we can do online that we can't do when we're gathered together?
What things can we do online that we can't do when we're together? Stay in your pyjamas.
Are there things we can do online that we can't do in normal? I think one of the great things that's happened is that because we're streaming services, there are people who would like to have come to church, but because of physical infirmities are just not able to come. And it's been great to know that those people are now able to go online and watch those services. And it's also been nice to have people taking part. We had Peggy, for example, taking part on Good Friday. And that was brilliant to have Peggy pop up as one of the faces on Zoom and take part. Another thing that we're hoping to be able to get together if technology lets us is there's an opportunity, for example, you could run a mag service. And in that mag service, we could hopefully get actual feedback from our missionaries in other parts of the world. So Zoom, in a sense, allows us to have a potential meeting with anyone around the world. And the other thing it might allow us to do is also rope in other people who would, different speakers who we could get to record a thought or a sermon, and would plug them in. So there are things that are, in a sense, easier to do than they would be in a normal service. And I think in some ways we will find streaming services will probably become a more normal way of church, even when all this is over. I think a lot of us will be looking to how we can continue some form of streaming so that people at home who are unable to get to church can take part. So I think in that way we may find that things have changed from this.
Thanks for being a great reporter.
Hi worship leaders, I'm trying to find out how you do an online service. Do you prefer playing to the camera or the congregation?
I definitely prefer playing in front of a congregation, partly because worship is a corporate act, it's not just a performance, and doing it in front of a camera is a bit strange because it does feel a bit like it's a sort of performance, you don't get the feedback. Plus I'm very exposed, it's just me on my own and my guitar, so if I make a mistake it's quite obvious, whereas if we're in a congregation kind of setting, you've got the congregation singing, we're all together, and so it matters less if I make a mistake. So yeah, definitely prefer playing in church.
How long does it take you to film a song?
Recording songs can take anything from sort of 10-15 minutes per song to kind of 2-3 hours, which is obviously good fun for Neil and I as we're recording them. So yeah, it just depends on kind of how well it goes, whether I make a mistake, whether I do something wrong, or just, somebody starts mowing the lawn outside, whatever, which you have to start again. So yeah, it can take a long time, or it can take not very long, depending on how it goes.
I'm currently putting song words on the video, which is what we also do for comms updates and for sermons. After downloading the song, I have to find the song words on the internet, copy them, and decide where to paste them in relation to the song. I also have to check the spellings are correct to correct American spellings. I have to decide whether to put the worship leader in a small box or full screen, and then, if they're in a small box, choose a suitable background. I have to make sure the words are the right size and colour to be read, obviously. Finally, I'll check if the sound is loud enough, and if it isn't, we'll make it louder, and then we export it ready to go on the service.
So, welcome to our study on a Sunday morning. Apart from the mess, you'll probably notice the large number of computer screens, all of which are being used to send our service out to the world. There are 4 computers we're using, one for the vision mixing, one to control the Zoom call and to feed that back to the main computer, a third to monitor the output to YouTube, and a tablet so that we can talk to the other participants on Zoom. We're going to talk a little bit more now about what each of them does. The first computer we use on a Sunday morning is our Vision Mix machine. This is operated by Joseph and used to send the service out to YouTube and from there to the homes of everybody watching. Just like producing a TV show, Joseph can choose between different pre-recorded video clips, audio clips, or images to send out, or he can select the live feed from Zoom, the video chat program we use to have a live element to the service. Our second computer is there just to run that Zoom call. It brings the virtual congregation together and feeds that into our Vision Mix machine. And we also have to have a tablet so that we can communicate with that machine and with that call as part of the service. The call itself is run by Dan.
My dad says you control the live bits, but what does that actually mean?
Okay, so on a Sunday morning during the service, what I tend to do is control the Zoom meeting that we use. And what that means specifically is I will control who out of the different participants in the meeting is on screen at what time. And I also control the video feed of the pre-recorded stuff on the screen for the people who are on the Zoom as well, so they can see what's doing what.
Can you show us any of that?
Yeah. So one of the things I can do is I can make sure that maybe hold on, let's have a look. Yeah. One of us is only in camera at one time, or whether there's both of us in camera at the same time.
Okay. Next question. What can go wrong?
Well, one thing that can go wrong is if somebody is taking part hasn't muted their microphone, then they can suddenly appear on screen if I've not done my job properly. The other things that can go wrong is I can put the wrong person on screen at the wrong time. I've done that before. I think the other week I meant to put Graham Banks on screen, but actually I put Graham Hobley on screen instead because I got the wrong Graham.
Oh yeah, I think I remember that one. That's funny.
So yeah, and simple mistakes to make, but there's lots of them.
Is it hard to do?
No, it's not particularly difficult to do once you know what you're doing. I think it's one of those things. If once you've learned it, it can be quite it's quite easy to do. As long as you've got, I think the most important thing is to have a list of a running order of the service, where it's marked up so you know who should be on screen at what time, and then you should be okay.
And what's good about using Zoom for the service?
I think the best thing about using Zoom is that you can get lots of different people all live at the same time, and so I think you can have up to 100 people, but we would never do that. That would be too difficult to manage. But what you can have is probably sort of 9 or 10 people, or maybe 12 people, and it's quite easy to see them all on the screen enough so you can manage them. So that's one of the good things about Zoom, and I guess and everybody can access it, so it's quite good for that in that respect.
Okay, thank you.
It's okay.
The last computer we use is our YouTube monitor. This lets us see what you're seeing on YouTube. It lets us check the quality of the video and the sound, and gives us a chance to react. Although because there's a 25-second delay between when we send it and when it goes out, if something goes wrong, it takes us at least half a minute to react and sort it out. Sorry about that. We also use this machine to interact with people who are watching the service. So if you've seen the YouTube comments during the service where you can write chat and say hello to people, then you'll also occasionally see Queen's Road Baptist Church making a comment there. That's me. It's usually there if there's someone's got a technical problem or if there's an issue that I want to communicate with people, or to share a few extra details about things that are said in the service.
Hi Ian, what are we doing to help people who don't have the internet?
Hi Benjamin. Well, I've been helping people who don't have access to the internet to join into our services by listening on their telephones. We run a separate conference call in which we share the audio from the YouTube feed, so that those dialing in can hear everything that happens.
Good morning.
So far, we've had a regular group of about 5 or 6 each week, and I know they've really appreciated being able to participate in our services in this way. We usually have time for a quick chat before the service begins, and I can also read out the greetings that are being shared on YouTube. And then we listen to the service together.
Thanks for being with us and not being with us.
I've heard, I know how an online service works, but why do you do it?
Well, when we went into lockdown, we had to find a way of keeping the church family meeting together, even though we couldn't actually come together in the building. So we came up with the idea of doing online services to make sure that we could still have that special time. And what we've also found is that a lot of people who wouldn't normally get to church, either because they're too busy or they have to work, or just because it wasn't something that was important to them beforehand, have found that online services are something they really want to engage with, especially in these difficult times.
How many people watch them?
Well, we don't know exactly how many people, but I can tell from the YouTube monitor how many connections there are, how many different computers are connected to it. And normally it's about 120 connections. So we reckon that's about 200 people joining in every Sunday.
So when we go back to church, are we going to scrap the whole online service, or are we going to still do something?
I don't think so, because I think there will be people who find that a streaming service, an online service, is a way that they can engage with church. And I think it's really important that we continue to find a way to share the fact that God loves them with those people. Some of those people might be people who'd love to be in church and can't get there because they're ill or because they're just not able to get out anymore. But others might be people who find online a better way to connect with the church. So I think there's something exciting and challenging in how we move forward from there. Thanks for doing all of the reporting for this. It's been really good.